recently read The Great Gatsby. And then, of course, I had to watch the movie right after that. I did enjoy that very, very much. Old sport. She says, I also love Breakfast at Tiffany's. I did not read Breakfast at Tiffany's, but I've read a lot about Truman Capote. And she says, The Outsiders. Is that considered a classic novel? She said, I can't tell you how many times I have read that book. She says, in fact, I never read the last chapter because I never wanted the story to end. Goofy, right? I tweeted at the author, S.E. Hinton, about that, and she actually responded telling me to go ahead and read the last chapter and then to promptly forget it. Yes, I remember reading The Outsiders back in the day when I was a teenager. I read it over and over and over again. And of course, I saw the movie a million times because all of the super hotties that were alive in the entertainment world were in that movie. We had Patrick Swayze. We had Rob Lowe. We had, gosh, who else was in it? There was Matt Dillon and some people that were not so super hot, but, you know, still very prominent in their time, like Emilio Estevez and Ralph Macchio. And yeah, it was a great movie. Great book, great movie. Wendy Ann says, Pride and Prejudice. Oh, Mr. Darcy. Lynn says, I agree with Marcy. Gatsby for me. The great thing about Gatsby is it's a short read. So you don't feel like you're struggling to get through it like some of the classics. And that's what I say about Jane Austen. I love most of her stories, but they're just difficult to get through to me. Another one that was difficult to get through, but when I finished it, I loved so much. Jen says, I'm a nerd, so this is a hard choice, but I will go with Jane Eyre. I did read Jane Eyre about 15 years ago, and I just loved it. She says, I've read it so many times and still love it. I did buy the Sherlock Holmes collection to read this summer. One classic I'd love to read is Gone with the Wind, but I don't know if I have the stamina anymore. I replied to her saying, you have to read it. I know that Jen loves books as much as I do, and she has to read Gone with the Wind. Put Sherlock Holmes on hold. And like I said, it's only 3 books. It's only the length of 3 books. It's not that tough. So, Jim says someone would have a favorite classic novel, let alone want to read one. Who knew? He said, I read what I had to in school, but for me, true memoirs are the best. I get Jim a book for Christmas every year, usually one of those true story crime type things. I had bought him one this past Christmas about a brother who had murdered his sister, I believe, and I had never seen the book before, and he's taken his good old time reading it because I gave it to him at Christmas, which of course is in December, and here it is July, and he keeps putting my book on hold. Whatever, Jim. Obviously, you don't think it's that good of a book. That's okay. I'll get you another one next year. Anyway, so that is the topic for today. Like I said, Gone with the Wind, my absolute favorite. Loved Persuasion by Jane Austen. And just recently read The Great Gatsby, like literally within the last year or two. And then I had to watch the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio because he's a great Gatsby for The Great Gatsby. I crack myself up. Okay, moving on to a more serious topic. Today's blog post, we are talking about trusting again, which was requested from somebody for a topic to focus on. So, I'm trying to serve you. Again, if there's something that you think you need a little work on, please feel free to share it to the Hopefulist group page, to the Hopefulist page, or message me. I would be thrilled to focus on something that you feel you need a little work on. I put up a quote from Beardsley Jones. It says this: you have this one life. How do you want to spend it? Apologizing, regretting, questioning, hating yourself, running after people who don't see you? Be brave. Believe in yourself. Do what feels good. Take risks. You have this one life. Make yourself proud. Amen, Beardsley. Amen. So you've been hurt. Yes, it is the worst. I have said here many times, there is nothing so brutal as nursing a broken heart. It's so all-consuming. You just can't stop thinking about it. Relationships sometimes end without our wanting them to, and it can be a very hard thing to get over. It will take time. I have sometimes taken more time than an actual relationship to get over it. You do need to wallow. You need to be sad, mad, shake your finger at the injustice of it all. Sometimes bad things happen to good people, and we all know good things happen to bad people. I will never figure out how justice works in this world. That is something that we just have to accept. But you have two choices. Stay locked in your misery, stuck in how fair you've been treated, or move on to greener pastures. Is an unhappy life what you deserve after already being treated so unfairly? Of course not. Life can be extremely unfair. I've often looked at friends of mine who are in a happy marriage, at least it looks like a happy marriage. I'm not really sure. Financially secure, seem to be doing great. Even people I perceive as breaking all the rules. I've always been a rule follower, and maybe that is why I've gotten stuck so many times. But this is what I mean. I finished high school. I went to college. Finished college, decided on a career path in music, which turned into a career in radio. I followed that career path for years and years. I haven't made a lot of money in radio. This seems to be a misunderstanding, a fallacy that people think that people in radio make tons of money. There are people in radio that make tons of money, but they're very few. And the people who, you're either making a ton of money or you're making a very little bit amount of money. There's very few in between who are making just a decent salary. So, I'm positive that I make less than a teacher. So everybody's always ranting and raving about how teachers are underpaid. I'm not saying that I educate the youth of tomorrow and all of that stuff. I'm just saying, comparatively speaking, I'm pretty sure that most of them make more money than I have. But money wasn't my motivation, so that's okay. I've lost a lot of jobs, as you've heard me talk about, due to circumstances outside my control. It happens to everyone in my business, except for a very few. It's just the field I chose. I knew this going in. I decided to do it anyway. Also, another thing that I was often thought was unfair, I was single for a very long time. I dated a lot of losers and figured I just had bad luck with men. So when I lost a job or a boyfriend, I don't know. What do you think I should have done? Given up? Gotten a job at the nearest fast food joint and been content to live my life on my own? Well, that's not what I wanted, obviously, so I kept trying. You got to keep trying. Trying to find another job in radio. Trying to find that perfect guy. I got one of them at least. Got my perfect guy. And here's the thing about Joe. Joe was so the opposite of all of the other guys I had ever dated. Not my type. First of all, he was super nice. I never dated nice guys. So, sometimes go against type might just be the perfect guy that you find. So, it was really hard, though, watching all my friends settle into great relationships and be financially secure when some of them didn't even finish high school. That's just how life rolls. And as bad as you think your situation is, it can always be worse. What if instead of going through a divorce, your spouse was hit by a car and killed? Or, oh, God forbid, you lost a child. I hope nobody has gone through those horrific things. I'm not trying to be morbid. I'm just trying to point out that horrific things happen, and we need to adjust to them. Do you think the person that lost their spouse in a car accident or lost a child deserved it? Do you think that they should just give up and hole in and, be a hermit for the rest of their lives? Would you tell a 38-year-old woman who lost her husband of 15 years to an accident to give up because you wouldn't want them to have to face a similar situation? Is that what you would tell a friend of yours? I doubt it. You would tell them to take the time to grieve and then get back out there. There is nothing I can tell you or anyone can tell you that makes what happened okay. And I know it can be scary to trust again, but you have to give yourself the proper amount of time and then start to move on, or you'll be stuck for the rest of your life. Only you can decide the proper amount of time, but when it's dragging into years, you have to check yourself. Then you're letting, say you're going through a divorce, you're letting your spouse win. They get to move on, and you don't. Is that how you want to be viewed? As the person whose life was ruined because one person decided not to be with them anymore? I certainly hope that is not the case. I know it can be scary to get out there and try again. And having a horrific fear of another situation turning out badly for you. I never spent 15 or 20 years in a marriage. I know that it's different, but I went through a lot of breakups, and each one was so heartbreaking because I put so much hope into each one, saying, this is the one, this is the one. I'm going to get married this time. It's going to be my happily ever after. And it's devastating. But here's the thing. You have to, if you want to get the most out of this life. You know the saying, love like you've never been hurt? It's hard to do, but now you have more knowledge behind you. You know what to look for, and will spot a situation that may not work out in your favor a lot more quickly. You also know what it is you wish you did differently, and now you can. Hold your breath and dive in. It's the only way to live. And I know you can do it. Like I said, I know it's scary. I know there's this horrific fear that you're going to get hurt again. But it's the only way to live. What kind of life is like living by yourself, holed up, not doing anything, not sharing your life with somebody? Again, if that's what you want, is to share your life with somebody. If you don't want to share your life with somebody, by all means, don't. There are plenty of people who are happily single, doing what they do, going on trips, traveling, writing and reading and doing what they do. But if that's not what you want, don't convince yourself that's what you want because it's easier. That's all I'm saying. It is Taco Tuesday, people. I hope you get yourself a taco. I want you to check out my website, Hopefulist.com. That's where you can find the podcast, the blogs. You can find everything that has to do with the Hopefulist. And we are coming up on Hump Day. I want you to check out the website, like I said, some new pictures up there. And please, go make it your best day yet.
Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist, hosted by Wendy McClure. For more inspiration, please visit Hopefulist.com. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Hopefulist.